Now this car right here is the third generation Maruti Alto. It was originally launched in 2022 and this is one of the first batch cars. Now it has been 2.5 years since this car's launch, and since we bought this car, I mean my friend bought this car, and today I'm going to tell you about the ownership review of this car, and hopefully I'll try to incorporate the 2025 Maruti Alto with 6 airbags in the same video, because to be very honest there is not really a lot changed in the 2025 variant of that car. Now this is my local Maruti dealer's stockyard, and as you can see there are Altos everywhere. This is the provision for seat airbag on the front seat, and this is the curtain airbag provision on the B pillar. Other provisions include 3-pointed seat belts for all passengers, and this is the ESP switch because ESP has also been standardized. So clearly in terms of safety features, the 2025 Maruti Alto is a perfect car. Now let's start with the design of this car. To be very honest, I won't be able to call this car beautiful. It is decent at best and it does not really excite me. The 2011 original Alto K10, of course, that was something which excited me because that was a very nice looking car, to be very honest. And that was also my family's first car. So yeah, I have a nostalgia factor associated with that car and with the engine that powers this car. Talking about the engine, let's access the bonnet. And it is a fairly light bonnet. It can basically be played with. But yeah, beneath it is the 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. This produces 67 horsepower, 19 Newton meters of torque, and it is refined enough to not have any sort of insulation. But to be very honest, there is nothing impressive about missing out on an engine insulation because that is nothing but a cost-cutting measure. Now there are a lot more cost-cutting measures in this car which we will talk about. Starting off with these unpainted ORVMs, I think this car would have looked a lot better if these were painted. Another cost-cutting measure is, even though this car gets a touchscreen, it is a VXI Plus, so it gets the SmartPlay 7-inch touchscreen. It still does not get a day-night IRVM. What? So yeah, that is honestly saddening and tells you a lot about how manufacturers are trying to cut costs these days. Now the next thing I'm going to tell you is not a cost-cutting measure, but it is a mileage measure. Look at this. I mean, let's be very honest, Alto never had wide tires, but the Alto kit in the 2011 variant specifically had 155 section tires. 11 years down the line and the tire size has reduced. Now usually in Maruti cars there is also cost cutting in terms of safety, but surprisingly this car does not have cost cutting in safety. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly, because this car, although it scored just 2 stars at Global NCAP, it also scored a stable body shell rating, which basically means that in some conditions this car is safer than the Tata Tiago. It did not get a stable body shell rating, its body shell was rated unstable, and now with 6 airbags as standard this car does become a lot safer and might even score a lot higher at Global NCAP, who knows. Now let's start off this 3-cylinder engine. And straight away you notice when you start the engine there is some shake on the dashboard that tells you about the vibrations on crank. Apart from that, on idle there are slight vibrations on the seat and there are slight vibrations on the pedal as well. Thankfully there are no vibrations on the steering wheel like in the Altos. And when you start accelerating from low speeds, you notice that Maruti has calibrated this engine very well. What I mean by that is that the car accelerates very well from slow speeds. So if you are driving in city conditions, that is the initial purpose of this car, and this car does that very well. The small dimensions also aid with the city maneuverability of this car, and the engine's low end torque does make it a lot better to drive than a lot of other cars. What I don't like about this car though is how violently it shakes. Look, I'll just take it through a pothole, and yeah, it does shake very violently. It makes you unsettled, and it honestly robs away the confidence which this car anyway does not give. However, what does instill confidence is its low end torque. I just push the accelerator and it goes. I was right now in 4th gear and this was the acceleration. That was slightly dangerous, but yeah. This is a nice little car which has a lot of fun element to itself. Also, what is the surprising issue that I have faced with this car is that it bottoms out. Literally, there have been speed breakers where my car does not bottom out. My car is a Honda City and that doesn't bottom out, but this does. And Maruti especially needs to work on that because this car is coming from a family of mountain goats, that is the Alto and the 800 of course. So yeah, let's not put a bad name to the Maruti Alto family and let's have a next generation Alto which does not bottom out on speed breakers. Talking about the suspension of this car, it feels bad on bad roads and it feels good on good roads. And now you will ask what the kind of feedback is that? Well, on bad roads, this car's suspension makes it jolt around a lot. There's a lot of movement and it makes the car very shaky, and that honestly makes you uncomfortable. But when you are out on good roads like this and you have idiots like this jaywalking in the middle of the highway, well, at times like this car feels very stable. It feels very confidence inspiring. I am right now at 90 and I still think that this car is confident enough to do a lane change if I have to do an emergency lane change. So yeah, the basic foundation of this car is nice. If you try to drive it like a sane person under speed limits and while not trying to overtake any other car and while trying to drive it like a small city car. When you drive like that, this car feels nice. It feels okay enough at 6 lakh rupees. But try to do anything more than that and this car will tell you that it is still a 6 lakh rupees small city hatchback. Now people often say कि मारुति कार्स में स्टीयरिंग लाइट होता है, मारुति कार्स में स्टीयरिंग लाइफ लेस होता है, मारुति कार्स में स्टीयरिंग वेग होता है एंड मारुति कार्स में स्टीयरिंग वापस नहीं आता है. Now we'll put that to test. I'll just tilt the steering slightly and yeah, this is a bad problem. Now this behavior of this car feels very scary, it feels very unnerving, it does rob away confidence. And it basically tells you that when you are driving this car, you have to be attentive on the road 100%. I will just direct it to be to rotate and just look. Keeps rotating, bro. Now the one thing that I like about this car though is its short turning radius. Now this is a very tiny road and yet I have completed a 3-point turn very successfully. Now the brakes on this car do feel nice enough. It stops in decent time. It does not take a lot of time. But again, that is something which only happens when this car is being driven at slow speeds. You try to brake from high speeds and this car will show you that it does not brake very well. Now moving on to the features part of this car, it gets this remote key which I think debuted in I don't know 2008. I don't know when the Swift debuted, but yeah, this key debuted with that car, and honestly, I think it is time Maruti should change this key. Now, like every other modern day car, this car gets a touch screen, of course. It is a 7-inch SmartPlay system. It is not the latest one. It is the older unit that used to come in Maruti cars. What is not sad is the fact that it does get premium features like this, steering mounted audio controls. That is a nice add-on. It also gets power windows at the front. This is the switchgear for it. This is the manual AC, which although it might look a basic unit, but it does cool down the cabin very quickly. Unlocking the boot. By the way, this car gets 2 parking sensors, just like the Tata Altos, and it also gets a reverse parking camera, which is honestly bad in terms of quality. I think you can get better units aftermarket. This is a parcel tray shelf and it honestly does feel slightly flimsy. The boot is deep. It gets a spare wheel, which of course should be a 13-incher. I feel. I hope it is not a 12-incher. Yep, it is a 13-incher. Thankfully, Maruti has upgraded from the 12-incher. The boot is deep, so it is useful, but it is still small. And I think same is the case with the last seat of this car. The second row, it does not feel very spacious. It has limited legroom, limited knee room. The under thigh support is not very bad, but for taller people it might be a problem. There is a hump in the middle which might make it, yeah, and the under thigh support has vanished. So yeah, this is a 4-seater car for adults. In the middle maybe you can seat a child or maybe someone you hate. Up front you also get a 12-volt charging socket and you also get a pen type charger and a USB-A port. It does not get a USB-C, so it is not for those who are very technologically advanced. But yeah, it does get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And what it also gets is this small glove box which can honestly fit in my hand. So yeah, everything about this car basically is like the basic existence of this car. Everything in this car is small. The tires are small, the engine is small, the boot is small, the seating space is small, the touchscreen is small, but everything works well. Everything is usable enough, everything works well, and everything does serve you well. Now, if you were here to know about the reliability problems we have faced with this car in 2 years, do you have even a bit of shame? Because look at this. This is the Maruti Alto, and this car is known as the Maruti Goat. It is known as the ultimate reliable car. So yeah, there is no point in expecting this car to fail. This car honestly might last 10 years, might last 15 years, it might outlast you. And if you do end up passing down this car to your next generations, they will thank you, although they will not be very proud in the wake of looking cool. They might not be very proud of this car, but they will be very proud when they start using it. Everybody I know has been very proud of this car when they started using it. And if you do want to remove the uncool part of this car, well, you are just going to open the engine at a mechanic and you are going to fit a turbocharger in this car. Because examples from Sri Lanka of the 2011 Alto, they produce as much as 130 horsepower and do 0 to 100 in around 7 to 8 seconds. So this is going to be a very cool project car if you are brave enough. So yeah, as a first car, this makes a lot of sense. This is going to be a very good, very trustworthy, very reliable car. Now you tell me, for 6 lakhs, are you going to buy this? Or are you going to the used car market going to buy something like that?